Right now, your brain is lying to you. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way you'd ever catch, but everything you see, everything you remember, everything you feel certain about, your brain quietly assembled it, filled in the gaps, and handed it to you as if it were fact. You didn't get reality. You got your brain's best guess at reality. And the stranger part, the glitches are how we know this is happening. The weird moments, the deja vu, the false memories, the feeling that the world isn't quite real. Those aren't malfunctions. They're windows. They reveal exactly how the construction works. Here are 8 of those windows. There's a specific kind of discomfort you get when something looks almost human, but not quite. A CGI character whose eyes feel slightly wrong. A humanoid robot that moves just a little too smoothly. A wax figure of a celebrity that looks exactly like them, but makes your skin crawl anyway. This is called the uncanny valley. The name comes from the idea that as something becomes more human-like, your comfort with it increases, right up until it gets very close to human. Then your reaction drops off a cliff. Your brain is pattern matching constantly, and when something is close but not right, it triggers a mismatch alarm. There may also be an evolutionary reason for this. Humans evolved to detect subtle signs of illness, injury, or deception in other people's faces. Something that looks almost but not quite right activates that ancient warning system. Your brain can't classify what it's looking at, and that uncertainty reads as threat. You're not being irrational when a robot face unsettles you. You're running a survival program that's millions of years old. You're somewhere completely new, a city you've never visited, a conversation you've never had, and then it hits this feeling that this exact moment has happened before. You can't say when, you just feel sure. That's deja vu, French for already seen. Almost everyone has had it. The most accepted explanation is a misfiring in memory processing. Your brain has 2 systems that normally work together, one for handling new experiences, one for memory retrieval. Sometimes the memory system fires when it shouldn't and labels a brand new moment as something familiar. The experience is new. The feeling of recognition is a mistake. But here's the part almost nobody knows about. There's a flip side. It's called jamais vu, French for never seen. This is when something you know completely well suddenly feels totally unfamiliar. A word you've written your whole life looks like it might be spelled wrong. A route you've driven 100 times feels like somewhere you've never been. It's the same glitch, just reversed. Your brain calling something familiar new instead of something new familiar. Both are proof of the same thing. Your brain is not a neutral recorder. It's constantly classifying, labeling, and filing. And sometimes it files things wrong. A large number of people have a clear memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. The problem is, it never happened. He was released in 1990 and died in 2013 as a former president of South Africa. And yet the memory feels real to a surprising number of people. This is the Mandela effect, when large groups of people share the same false memory. The Monopoly man having a monocle. The evil queen saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall," when she never did. Pikachu having a black tip on his tail, which he never had. Countless people remember these things wrong, and remember them with confidence. The explanation isn't parallel universes. It's just how memory works. Your brain doesn't record events like a camera. It reconstructs them, filling in gaps using logic, expectation, and pattern. The Monopoly man wears a top hat and a monocle era suit, so naturally, he has a monocle. That's what that type of character looks like, except he doesn't. The expectation was so strong that millions of brains filled it in the exact same way. Shared false memories aren't proof of alternate timelines. They're proof that everyone's memory is less reliable than they think. You're going about your day, and then, out of nowhere, reality feels slightly wrong. You can't point to what changed. Everything looks the same, but it feels like you're watching your life through a pane of glass, like the world around you is a very convincing set, and you're not entirely sure you're actually in it. This is derealization, and it's far more common than most people realize. It usually shows up during periods of stress, exhaustion, or anxiety. It can last a few seconds or several hours. There's a close cousin called depersonalization. Instead of the world feeling unreal, you feel unreal, like you're watching yourself from outside your own body, a stranger wearing your face, running your life. Both are the brain's stress response doing something unhelpful. When things feel overwhelming, the brain sometimes dials down the intensity of your experience as a buffer. The side effect is that everything feels slightly fake. You're numbed and slightly panicked at the same time. For most people, it passes, and knowing what it is makes it much less frightening when it shows up. You wake up, or you think you do. You can see your room. You know where you are, but you can't move. Not a finger. And sometimes there's something in the room with you. A shadow, a figure, a presence at the edge of your vision, and you still can't move. Sleep paralysis has been reported across every culture in recorded history. Before anyone understood what it was, people called it demons, witches, a supernatural visitor sitting on your chest. In Old English, it was called the hag. Across thousands of years and dozens of cultures, the descriptions are almost identical. A dark figure, a weight on the chest, something watching. What's happening is a time timing error. During REM sleep, your brain paralyzes your body so you don't act out your dreams. Normally, this switches off the moment you wake up. In sleep paralysis, the paralysis lingers after your consciousness returns. You're awake, but your body is still locked in sleep mode. The figures aren't real. Your brain is still half dreaming, generating images that bleed into your waking vision. It's not a ghost. It's your brain caught between two states at once, and your pattern-matching instincts doing exactly what they're built to do with a dark, unclear shape in a room. You get up with a clear purpose, walk into the next room, and the moment you get there, the thought is completely gone. You stand there trying to retrieve it, and nothing comes. You walk back to where you started, and then you remember. This is called the doorway effect, and it has a real explanation. Your brain organizes memory by environment. When you're in a specific space, it groups together the thoughts and intentions that belong to that context. Walking through a doorway triggers a mental reset. The brain closes out the previous context and opens a new one. The intention you had in the other room got filed with that room. Walking back works because you've re-entered the context where the thought was stored. Your memory wasn't failing. It was organizing the way it always does. It just happens to be inconvenient when you're trying to remember why you walked into the kitchen. Think back as far as you can. For most people, the earliest clear memory is somewhere around age 3 or 4. Before that, almost nothing, maybe a few blurry fragments that are hard to fully trust, which is strange because those first years were some of the most intense of your entire life. You learned to walk, you learned language, you experienced the world for the first time in full force, and you remember almost none of it. This is childhood amnesia, and it happens to basically everyone. The part of the brain responsible for forming long-term memories, the hippocampus, is still developing in early childhood. It isn't yet equipped to store experiences in a way that survives into adulthood. There's also a language factor. A lot of how we store memories involves attaching words to experiences. Before language fully develops, events are much harder to hold on to. The strange part is that young children aren't experiencing life any less vividly. They're laughing, crying, forming attachments, feeling things with full intensity. It's all happening. It just doesn't make it through to the other side. Whoever you were at age 2 is almost completely gone to you now. Pick any word and say it 10 times in a row. Chair, 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 chair. By the end, it stops sounding like a word. It sounds like a noise, a random pattern of sounds that doesn't mean anything. You know what it means, but the meaning has temporarily disappeared. This is semantic satiation. When you repeat a word quickly, the neural pathways that connect the sound to its meaning get fatigued from firing so fast. The link between the sound and the concept weakens. The meaning doesn't load. The sound stays. The sense disappears. It recovers in seconds once you stop, but in that window, a completely ordinary word feels alien, like something from a language you don't speak. Works on written words, too. Stare at any word long enough, and it starts to look like it might be spelled wrong, like something from another language entirely. Your brain just needs a short reset before it can process it normally again, which is maybe the best summary of everything on this list. Your brain is always working, always construct, always filling in the gaps. And when it gets tired, confused, or caught between two states, you get a brief, unfiltered look at the machinery underneath. Reality isn't something your brain receives, it's something your brain builds every second of every day. From incomplete information, pattern recognition, and a lot of educated guessing. The glitches aren't the exception, they're the proof. And if your brain can construct this convincingly wrong, it makes you wonder, what else is it quietly assembling right now that you'd never think to question?